so much for waiting for us. We're going to begin tonight by salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Arnowitz?
Present.
Mr. Hallowell?
I'm here.
Ms. Janice Clemens? Here. Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Cormack?
Here.
Mr. Fumo? Mr. Spear?
Here.
Mr. Rice?
Here.
Mr. Ock?
Here. I want to announce tonight that we're going to add something to the agenda this evening, and so it will be open for public comment. Tonight we are going to vote to approve the execution of the contract with Godshaw, Kane, O'Rourke Architects, subject to the solicitor's review and approval for improvements to be made to the agricultural portion of our building. And at this time, I am going to recognize anybody from the audience who may want to make public comment. We did not have anybody sign up. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Mr. Linden, would you mind?
Robert Linden, Pennridge School District. It's not about the announcement you just made. Items 11 and 14, could you give some background explanation? I don't understand those issues. Unless they are part of the wireless explanation that was given earlier.
Yes.
11 and 14.
Yeah, that's 14.
Yep, that's 14.
The equipment grant is a Pennsylvania Department of Ed competitive grant. We budget or plan, we submit, just submit, equipment purchases. And if approved by PDE, we could get half of that paid for by PDE.
Reimbursed.
That's 11.
That's left correct. Number 14 is concerning the E-rate, where depending on our student population, we can get is it a commercial thing? Or is it a state fund?
Did you say 11 and 14 or 11 and 12?
11 and 14.
It's a state fund where they will pick up a percentage of our costs for basically communication equipment.
We'll update our communication in our building is 7 years old. Typically, they last between 6 and 8 years old, 6 and 8 years. The sending districts usually change them out after 6 years. So we're getting close to the end of our current system, which will not be able to handle all of the new technology that our students are walking in the building with, such as computers, phones, watches. So this is going to help alleviate that, and we'll be back up to date again.
And at home, do you have a wireless internet router or like your cable box that comes in, it has your internet in it and your...
I understood the previous explanation that was,
That's what's in reference.
but as I understood the previous explanation, you were going to get back $25,000 of the $50,000?
That was an example.
Well, that, we don't know how much of that money we're going to get back until we submit for the grant.
Is this the same thing?
Yes.
This is the same issue that you talked about earlier? Okay.
They are related. That organization, through that organization, we're going to get access to the group that's going to do the E-rate refund.
Correct, making sure that all the paperwork is filed appropriately, so we qualify.
Through this organization.
Okay, that's what I wanted,
Association, yeah.
clarification. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm Nancy Overton from the Palisades School District.
Nancy.
Hi. And so my question is about the new agenda item, and I guess I'm disappointed that it wasn't on the agenda from the beginning because it's a very big ticket item, and I think the public might want to have some opportunity to say, and people wouldn't know that. And I just want to hope that both teachers were included in the planning, and the input from both teachers was used to devise this plan. And I wonder if the plan is available for the public to look at for possibly $800,000 ticket item. And then last year I had an experience in the back of the ag building. The reason I'm saying this is that I got bit by a dog and I had 21 stitches. And at that time I took a good look at the building, the kennel in the back of the building, and there's absolutely no visibility there. And I asked if that was going to be part of the plan when they renovated it. I was assured that it would be, and I hope that that is still going to be. So I'm really curious about that renovation plan and what's going to happen back there.
I guess my initial gut instinct is about the renovation plan. We had approved it last year, so there was opportunity for individuals to comment, and this to be discussed last year when it was approved. I agree with you. I think it should have been on the schedule for the last few days. I think it's unfortunate it was not as well, and I am very sorry for that.
So I guess I missed it last time, what the plan is going to look like.
Last year.
Yes. Does it include improvements for both programs equally, or?
Would somebody like to speak to that effect?
Yes. We spoke with both instructors, and according to the plan, the current plan, there will be some rearranging of the locker rooms. They won't have locker rooms on both sides, because right now the locker rooms aren't visible with our instructors, so we're going to try to emulate what we have going on in our current building here with changing rooms for each side. There's going to be a study area for both buildings, and as I mentioned earlier, last year's plan had one clean room. This year's plan has two clean rooms, because if one program was in there on a particular day, the other program wouldn't be able to go in there because that program is in there. So we divided that and made two clean rooms, so if there's no conflict of time being in each one of those clean rooms. There is a significant change in the locker areas will be in the classroom area of the animal tech, as well as the classroom area in the bioscience program will be a little bit smaller because of the clean rooms and the changing rooms, as well as the office or classroom, conference room type area for any of our students that may need assistance. I'd rather have my people go there than the students coming across the parking lot in inclement weather, so we'll have a study area right there as well. Basically, everything else seemed to be the same.
So
as far as the garage door in the back that you referred to, we have been pricing them out. They are rather expensive. We are following our safety concerns. We had our state police walk through. It is not recommended to put one there, but we are going to do a two-panel door with one solid panel. They recommend not having see-through doors as security issues of kids walking around in the back there. In case someone comes through, they can see where the kids are and they're easy targets. So I've spoken with the state police at length, and they will okay a two-panel see-through as long as one panel is there, and depending on how big the door is, we believe that the top panel will be a solid panel, so they can't at least see the faces of the students or identify any of the students that may be working in that area. It was an unfortunate incident. I'm really sorry that it happened. We have to be vigilant when we're in the back there with our students and our dogs and our animals. Having that many animals in one place, we don't anticipate accidents, but accidents do happen. And like I said, I'm sorry for it. We're doing everything we can to make sure that never happens again.
I think having the changing rooms is a great idea, and getting rid of those locker rooms, I love that idea. And that whole building is like a maze. It's super hard to supervise. And will some of those walls be taken down and be
Yes.
more visibility?
More open.
Yes.
It's going to be open. The clean rooms are going to be all glass. So when you walk in, on each side, the entrance, you're gonna see on one side, on the left side, there'll be a clean room. It's gonna be an all glass enclosure to put all the delicate equipment in both sides. So that's gonna be wide open. We are gonna make it a lot more visible for an instructor to be able to look from, the classroom, practically down to the other classroom. So we are taking a lot of those walls down. We have an issue with one wall is load bearing, so we have to put extra, we have to take that wall down, but we're putting I-beams in, and that'll alleviate any type of catastrophe from the roof coming in. So it's all been looked at. We went through it extensively last year, but I know the past administration has looked at it previously for years, and we've been working on the plan, and we've been tweaking the plan for the last few years. And last year we came up with that plan, and the only thing that we changed, like I mentioned earlier, was instead of one clean room, we want to have 2 clean rooms. So both programs could use those clean rooms at their leisure.
Thank you.
Would it be possible to, since we have that diagram electronically, and since this is an as-on agenda, would it be possible to put it up there so they can see?
Is that a safety issue though? I always thought that sharing them publicly, sharing blueprints publicly is not something.
Jeff, that,
People, they would take it and they know the layout is.
Yeah.
I would like to say I've been here on this joint operating committee for a few years, and one of the common themes has been some of those dead site areas like that. And when the state police did come in, they did make recommendations for cameras in certain areas, and that has been on our radar. So and I do want to say I'm sorry that you had to go through all that. I hope that you're okay and that you recovered 100%. I have the floor open. Anybody else would like to make any public comment before we continue? Okay. I need to announce an executive session. We have an executive session this evening to discuss personnel issues, administrative reports. Jeff.
Okay, great. We're going to start out with our student of the month, Vincenzo.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mr. Gentileza, CTE Supervisor of Upper Bucks County Technical School. It is my honor to recognize Vincenzo Nuzalisi. Vincenzo Nuzalisi, son of Frank and Marina Nuzalisi, is a senior from Pennridge High School enrolled in Chef Timothy McGinnis's Culinary Arts program here at Upper Bucks County Technical School. Vinny goes above and beyond in culinary. He volunteers for after-school catering companies with Miss Ott, our food service manager, and maintains excellent grades both here at Upper Bucks County Technical School and across his advanced placement courses at Pennridge High School. Vinny also assists with Miniton and is a member of the Class of 2020 Executive Student Council, which assists with fundraisers, class picnics, and prom. To add to Vinny's already remarkable resume, he is a member of Skills USA representing our culinary program. During his free time, Vinny enjoys babysitting, continuously learning his culinary skills, studying YouTube videos, tutoring others, and working at his family's restaurant, Dolce Vita, a premier and fine Italian cuisine located in Sumneytown. Last week, during
Please
lunch,
visit.
yes, and I'm going to get into that now, actually. Last week during lunch, Vinny was super kind to bring in some of their delicious pizza for some lucky staff members to try. And where were you? Yeah, where were you? Dave missed out too. Where was everybody? So
we brought it for you.
well,
who arranged that?
hey, coming from an area too where back in my hometown where the pizza is remarkable. This, I must admit, theirs would fit right in and sit near the top. It was delicious, and I could not speak highly enough of it after tasting it last week. Thank you again, Vinny and Mr. and Mrs. Nuzalisi, for that. That was super generous of you guys, and looking forward to someday trying out your restaurant as well. Excellent. Moving on, Vinny plans on attending Drexel and then either expanding his skills within his family's restaurant or eventually owning his own restaurant. Vinny, on behalf of myself, the administrative team, and staff here at Upper Bucks County Technical School, congratulations and best of luck on your future endeavors.
I'd like Vinny to explain, I know I had some board members come in last week for a brief tour, and he was doing an experiment of his sauce, and I'd like you to tell him your recipe that you came up with.
Family secrets.
Oh, it's a family secret.
Top secret.
Well, there's a couple of recipes that I've been messing around with for skills, just in case of like different ingredients being available. But probably one of the favorites for right now is a take on like a Romagnola sauce, which traditionally has prosciutto, which is a cured ham product, and then like tomatoes and arugula. But so what I had done with my chef was I did handmade, like hand ground loose Italian sausage meat, and I added that into the mix as well. And then we did some oven-dried tomatoes and switched out the arugula for fresh spinach, which really just lightened up the dish a little bit and gave it a little bit of depth as well.
And you could know the pig's name even, too.
Exactly.
Since I also heard that you're a budding Food Network star, and we saw some of your videos on the Pennridge network and Instagram. So not only do you have the culinary skills, but you also have the presentation skills and the communication, so nice job with that.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Newsalees, thank you. This is your second child that you sent us. Any more? That's it.
And Vinny will be taking his skills down into the skills competition coming up at the end of the month. We'll be starting at the Agriplex in Allentown, excuse me. That's on the 29th, and I really, I think he's gonna go places. So I really, wish you luck, and I'll be out there to cheer you on and taste all your food. Thank you. Alrighty. Our next positive scores, we'll be showcasing our law enforcement program. Mr. Joe Ritter and his students, please come on up.
I know Mr. Ritter loves this, and I know last month I talked about a legendary instructor, but the same goes this month. Mr. Ritter has dedicated his heart and soul into UBCTS as a student, instructor, mentor, public servant, and dedicated community member. Mr. Ritter is homegrown. He became interested at UBCTS as a cabinet-making student while enrolled in Quakertown High School, where he excelled in wrestling and baseball. According to Mr. Ritter, students were placed in tracks back then: general, college prep, business, or vocational ed track. Mr. Ritter broke the norm and decided to attend UBCTS in order to learn a trade and increase his employment opportunities. Lucky for us, he didn't buy into the belief that the CTE track was not congruent for the college prep and the student athletes. We thank Mr. Ritter for showing them otherwise. Using skills he learned at UBCTS, Mr. Ritter worked with a former JOC member as a fine woodworking apprentice focusing on historical home renovations. He continued his academic track and received an associate's degree in police administration from Bucks County Community College, while eventually earning a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Thomas Edison, where he was had the opportunity to earn college credits from real-world experiences. While pursuing his educational pursuits, he also graduated from the Allentown Police Academy. Mr. Ritter then embarked on a very successful police career in 1990, joining the Freemansburg Police Department, working in the inner city of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Ritter was hired by Bedminster Township Police as a master police officer. In this capacity, he began to work narcotics with the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, looking for investigating methamphetamine labs often flying out of Pennridge Airport. While with Bedminster, Mr. Ritter became the supervisor of juvenile investigations, where he began to work with UBCTS students. He continued on this path, becoming a national DARE instructor, training hundreds of other officers across the country. The reason why he went into becoming a juvenile detective and the DARE program was he was looking to find a better way. Instead of arresting people, he believed in education. Never one to just sit around. He also focused in on his teaching abilities, serving as the MPTC, Municipal Police Training Commission instructor for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He continued as a master police officer for the next 13 years, earning over 60 certifications. I'm not going to read them, don't worry, I know you're thinking. Focusing on juvenile and mentoring other police officers to be successful in the field. His experience and certifications are now shared with the fortunate students in his program. The same drive and lifelong learning is now passed on to these same students. In 2003, UBCTS was lucky enough to have Mr. Ritter join our staff, and another chapter began. Continuing on with his education, he went on to earn a master's degree from Temple University in Educational Administration and a second master's degree from Wilkes University in Educational Development, earning a perfect 4.0. Mr. Ritter continues to help in the community organizations like the Scouts and faith-based organizations on how to refuse to become victims. He's also a lethal weapons instructor and expert. Mr. Ritter's students continue to score exceptionally well on the NACI end of program assessment. His students obtain certifications in baton, firearms, handcuffing, pepper spray, defensive tactics, CPR, first aid, OSHA, hazmat, and also the management of aggressive behavior. Both he and his students have worked very closely with me in my role as school safety officer, Mr. Gale, in helping maintain a safe and positive school environment. They were instrumental in helping us implement the Alice Active Shooter program, as we were one of the first schools in the county to do so. I'm proud to state over the last 3 years, Mr. Ritter and the students were instrumental in having over 90 to 93% of our students feel safe and secure at UBCTS, according to anonymous senior surveys. He still certifies law enforcement and military personnel on both the local, state, national, and even international levels. He's a proud father of 3 boys, Noah, Jonah, and Mason. Noah and Jonah were both adopted from Colombia, South America. He credits his middle son, Jonah, who is on the autistic spectrum, for bringing joy to his life and helping enlighten him to work with UBCTS students of special needs, and also gaining an understanding of working with their parents. He runs a winery in Easton, PA in his spare time, and his product is supplied through his Finger Lakes Vineyard in upstate New York, where he enjoys farming and producing his own product.
I don't know if I enjoy it that much. Mr. Hollowell. It's a lot of hard work.
Mr. Ritter credits his amazing high school wrestling coach and science teacher, Mr. Dwight Anderson, who I found out also has taught Mr. Spear as a mentor who has made a difference in his life. So we want to thank the students and Mr. Ritter for all that you do, and we're glad to have someone of your experience, passion, of being part of our staff.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes, I will. I'm not really big in, he came down, actually, Dr. Herrera said, hey Joel, come on down and let's go over what we're going to say tonight. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I'm not into that at all. And then he took a look at some of my certifications, and basically he was like, holy crap, you know, like, how are we going to get all this stuff on here? The bottom line is, I'm not about talking about myself. I'm into talking about what they do. more importantly, you won't see me nominate one student for Student of the Month. As much as it rocks, the norm here, I refuse to do that. It's about a team. And I look at it, if I'm gonna nominate anyone, it would be my class. I refuse to just nominate one person. They learn real quick in my class, we're all the same, and we basically work together as a team. We're only as strong as our weakest link, so if you ever see a nomination come from law enforcement, it's not because I don't have great cadets and some that I think will shine greatly throughout their career here and later on as adults. It's just because I refuse to nominate just one. So that's kind of what I want to put out there. These individuals are really the ones that deserve all the credit. I know I appreciate all the great things, and by the way, I'll pay you later on, for all the nice things that were said by Dr. Herrera, but the reality is, it really is about them and all their effort that they put into it. And he talked about NACI and how my students have excelled in these different areas. And I try to explain to them that, that's all well and great, but they want to go into a career that's really a thankless career. I can probably count on my hand 5 times that someone really said thank you. A lot of times it's more, you call 911, if it's fire, you're putting a house out. If it's, a squad, you're saving someone's life. But law enforcement usually means we're hooking somebody and taking someone with us. So it's not usually a positive thing. And I try to teach my cadets to have some really big shoulders. And I'm really proud to say that through the years of them coming up through the program and where they are right now, they've really shined in that area. And they've developed some really big shoulders. And I'm very proud of where they are. So I brought a few of my cadets with me. And pretty much you're more than welcome to ask them what they truly think of my program without doing push-ups. Because everyone knows that the class is all paramilitary in the way we run things. And everyone thinks that, kind of like the big joke is you got to brainwash your cadets. They're not brainwashed, they buy into what we're doing. And that's, at least I think they do, right? So you're more than welcome to ask them anything. Mr. Anderson.
What do you guys like best about the class?
The push-up.
Introduce yourself.
So I'm Matt Sessa. This is my 4th year in the law enforcement class, and probably one of the best things I've had in my life. I'm not saying that to be a kiss up or whatever. I'm saying that because
we call it bootlicking, and you know that.
I'm saying that because this class genuinely has put me down such a good path that I want to be on. There are people, if I didn't meet, I know I'd be doing something a lot worse than I am.
You'd be going down the wrong path.
I'd be going down the wrong path, and I would have never gotten to Marines if it wasn't for this class. I would have never got certifications I would have got anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm correcting him over here, like, I hear God, and I'm thinking, that would equate to push-ups too.
So you're very grateful for the direction that this class program's put you in?
Yes, sir.
And you're headed to the,
Marines.
he enlisted in the Marine Corps, so he'll be a Marine. So we want to thank you for doing that, and you definitely have a bright future.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else want to add anything?
Coming from as a senior at Pennridge, you're also involved with athletics, and why don't you say a little bit about that?
I'm Dylan Titus. I'm a senior at Pennridge. This is my first year at the law enforcement class, and I really like the class. Mr. Ritter makes it very fun, learning about all the different things we can really learn about, like the handcuffing, the baton, all the physical stuff. And I am very athletic. I play soccer for Pennridge. So being in this class, it's also a lot of fun being able to do workouts every Friday for physical training, and also doing a bunch of stretches and your warm-up stuff at the beginning of class every day.
And push-ups with me.
Yeah, I noticed that, he was a captain of the Pennridge soccer team. And the thing is that I always like when people ask them what they think of the class, they always tell you like, oh yeah, I like the hands-on training, I like the physical component. But really, there's a lot more book work, isn't there? And they never say that they enjoyed the lecturing, any of the assignments or anything like that. And that's the thing that really kind of puts a smile on my face listening to them. You know, they go right to PT or right to anything to do with the physical end of it, which is great.
Could I ask you a question real quick?
Yes,
Before
sir.
we speak with her? I'd love to ask you, I noticed that you said it's your senior year and you just started the program. What made you come into the program in your senior year?
Well, I always thought I would be going through physical therapy from my freshman year, which going on, I just really didn't think that was the right fit for me. And I wanted to go through a trade, and I saw law enforcement, and I thought I'd give it a try, and I'm really liking it. It's bringing me down a good path, and I think it's going to do me good.
Do you feel that when you leave here at the end of your senior year, you'll have a good amount of education that's going to benefit you moving forward, and what do you plan on doing after this?
I plan on trying to go through criminal justice. I would love to become a forensic investigator. That stuff is really, it's just fun to me.
Speaks to you?
Yes, it does. I take a good interest in it. I do 100% think I'm getting a good amount of education from the class.
Ma'am, do you have anything you'd like to say? What's your, are you a senior?
No, I'm a junior
You're a
in
junior at school.
Palisades.
And and from Palisades, so did you start in this class last year?
Yes, I
Are you
did.
going to go through 3 years?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. What do you think you'd like to do when you leave?
I would like to become a police officer and work my way up to a detective.
Good.
Nice.
Good goal.
Sir?
What role does your program partner with the school? Like what, you know,
So we do, if you come during the day and visit, you scan in, come through the day, we have the cadets scattered throughout the whole building at the doors. Every door there'll be a cadet. There'll be one walking outside back and forth doing patrols with Mr. Ritter, really close behind them, so I could be that guy. But they're doing some minor security in the hallways, keeping the students moving, and they also help us when we have functions in the evening. They do a lot of parking with our kids, or with our
Mr. Gale?
Mr. Gale, they work with Mr. Gale, and they do the parking. They bring people in, they park. So they really do help out at the school. They're always here. They're like our culinary kids and our baking kids. They come in and they do all the extra. Whenever we ask Mr. Ritter if we can use your students, they're right there. So they really do a fabulous job.
If I could say one thing, I've known Mr. Ritter for almost 30 years. Mr. Ritter and I come from the same background. I mean,
30 years?
almost.
30 years?
Almost.
I'm still.
I've
in your class 3 years?
I've seen a lot of different law enforcement programs in tech schools, and I've said this about him before. Bar none, he has the best program in the state.
Small bills.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
He has the best. He has the best program, and these kids, when they work with me, they don't complain. Especially like when we had to park cars in the rain. They were out there in the rain with me. They didn't complain one bit. They came out, did their job, did a great job. I had fire police helping me out. They helped the fire police. They did a great job. This is one of the best programs, bar none, in the state.
Thank you. And Megan, I think you want to say something?
I just wanted to share, I had the opportunity to visit in your class before, and I was so impressed with the level of professionalism and maturity of the students in your class, well beyond their years. It was really, really impressive to see, and it's exciting to see that these are the kids who will be keeping us safe, going forward in their careers, and they're well prepared to do so at such a young age, so just want to thank you for that and congratulate you all on doing such a great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
So Miss, how do you find the physical part of it?
I like it because I get to push myself and I get to be better than what I thought I would be if I was just at my home school. And it puts me in a better spot when it comes to the police academy, and it helps me be more prepared for the future.
Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause.
Hey, you got 20 on it?
Thank you, everybody.
I was
Oh,
gonna
thank
make-
you.
Congratulations.
You guys do not have to stay.
Okay.
You're welcome to stay if you really want to,
Thank you for
but
having
no
me.
one will take it personally or anything. If you guys leave, you're welcome.
One day I'm in service, I'm coming to your restaurant.
See you, Joel.
Excuse me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for staying. Thanks for being patient.
Great job, Joel.
Okay, next we'll go through the donation report. Donation report, Mike Wilson donated miscellaneous oil change kits for Arctic Cat equipment for the small engine technology program, estimated value of $6,000. He also donated a 1970 chopper motorcycle, which we got in that tour.
That was interesting. Could use a paint job.
Yeah, it's a chassis, it's a unique looking, motorcycle. It's worth $1,000 for a small engine program as well. Briggs and Stratton Corporation, they sent us 40 new Briggs and Stratton engines, models 12D1050172F8AX1040, for a total of $12,000 for a small engine program.
That's fantastic.
The engines are used, I believe, for snow blowers.
Yeah, they're snow blowers, and they're gonna help our students with the Skills USA competition and the Nockies. They're gonna be able to take them apart and build them, and that's through the Equipment and Engine Training Council, which we're very appreciative of, and we received accreditation from them a few months ago.
Okay.
And then Sylvan Bracalante Memorial Foundation sent a cash donation of $2,000 for our machining technology program.
That was nice of them.
Yes, they really are involved with our machining program. They're always here. Dean, we make a call, and Bracalante's here.
What does the foundation do?
The foundation, I don't know the background of the Bracalante Foundation, but I know that they, I believe it was a family member that passed, that they started this foundation to help future machinists with their education. So he has $2,000 to use for awards evenings and stuff like that, and he'll give out probably, $100 awards or whatever, it's up to his discretion.
The person who's running the program? Or-
Yes, yes, yes. And they've been doing it for the last few years now.
Well, send them, all right, thank you.
We got a big thank you note. Next, we want to bring up our farm show students. We all know that they went down to the farm show last week.
Monday?
Yep. They were down Monday through, no, actually, they went down Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they went down most of the week. And I will let the instructors, come on, you gotta come up, you can't hide behind there.
All right. I figure I'll start with just saying that I'm really happy to be in front of you again to talk about the great things that my students do.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you. So we went out Friday to Tuesday. We had another successful year. I do want to highlight beyond the success, my students were beyond productive this year. From the moment those animals stepped on campus to the moment that they put them on the livestock trailer to head out from Farm Show, they were on point and they were working the entire time to do everything they could to be successful out at Farm Show. We do have some placements that I want to highlight. One is Casey Keeler. You might remember her from last year with our grand champion.
Step forward,
hog.
Casey.
Do it, Casey. So she took out a spot pig this year. There were 2 classes of spots. Hers was the heavyweight class, and she placed 3rd overall for the heavyweight class. We were told by multiple people that our spot pigs were the nicest pigs they've ever seen for the breed. And then, in addition to her, Caleb Roth, who could not be here tonight because he's working, he got reserve champion with his spot pig. So overall, for both classes of spots, he was the 2nd place. He did very well in auction, and I should highlight both of these students got showmanship. We don't normally get showmanship ribbons because our kids are very disadvantaged compared to most. Most of those kids out there live with their animal. They spend every day with them from start to finish. They live and breathe showing. So for our kids to step up and get showmanship is huge. It speaks volumes to who they are and the amount of time and effort that they put into those animals, which was great. Everyone else placed well. Joyce over there, she showed a goat. Our sheep and goats weren't as competitive as we had hoped. We thought we'd do better than we did, but it was a very tough year. Lots of really nice animals that went out this year. And then in addition, Monday we had our midwinter convention. We had 3 students, Abigail James, Abigail Maines, and then Brianna Bradley that got their jackets this year. So they are all freshmen, correct? 2 from Pennridge, or all from Pennridge actually, all 3 from Pennridge. So this is the start of their career with FFA with their brand new jackets and getting them excited and motivated. And then Nina Slifer, you've seen her a handful of times now. She got her Keystone degree during the Midwinter Convention as well and honored on the state level for all of the effort and all the hard work she's put into the FFA.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Was there- What was the crowd like when you got your jackets? Do you know how many people were there?
5,000 people.
About 5,000 people.
Awesome. And what kind of, for the auction, for our spotted pigs, what kind of money did we bring back?
I got 200. That was before like the farm show took a little bit out of it, and Caleb got I think 100. I forget.
You get a little more than that.
Yeah, 175 or something like that.
It sounds like a very small number, but pork, unfortunately, is kind of in the tank at the moment. The price per pound is very minimal. So what they should have gotten if they had not made auction would have been about $95 per pig. So the fact that they doubled what they should have gotten is still success in our book.
Great. So is it hard to let go of your pig and let it go?
Depends on how much you like
We
bacon.
thank you for the planning and preparation and attention to detail is impeccable. You've given numerous hours outside the day, truly committed to your students. Mr. Dietrich is new and is learning, and we really appreciate that you're all working together, et cetera. Very proud of students, and we just want to thank you because we know how proud you are and how much work goes into this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So are different pigs judged differently?
Yes, because every breed is set up differently as far as its structure and what it should look like.
So it's not, so this wasn't this pig wasn't based on how big it was, this had different criteria, or?
It's based off like their structure and how like they actually look and weight, because they're sectioned off by both weight and breed. So like mine was a heavyweight pig, so he was with like all around the same weight with him. And Caleb Roth was a lightweight, so he was like we were both the smallest pigs in our division, but like we still, like it was whatever the judge likes about the pig. So like it's more about the structure, how it looks, and like how he wants it to look, like where the ham is, where the muscle is, like what he likes to see in the pig.
They do judge per breed, and then at the end they'll bring all of the grand champions and reserve champions back together, and they'll do a supreme overall, which is the best pig out of the whole entire pot.
Question?
Does your ag program or farm program and maybe your gardening program, does that go right into the culinary program?
Yes.
We do. We raise market hogs during the year, and they purchase two of them off of us every year, and then they make sausage and bacon, different things out of the pigs that we raise.
How heavy was your pig?
It's like 259, I think.
That was the baby one.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. I think there's some over there on the way out. I'm not kidding.
There might be.
There is, because it's hand-cured.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Thank you. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, we do.
You know what really pissed me off this year was, you listen to the news from Philadelphia, and there's no mention of the farm show that's going on here.
You know why? You know why? Because it's not happening in Philadelphia. They don't care.
But you know, they're broadcasting to the suburbs, and the suburbs care. Yeah, I know that. It's just the damn way they are. You know? It's all about Philly, right?
Yep. Did you see the new commissioner they hired?
Who's that? You mean?
Philly? You see the new police commissioner?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
She's only like 40 years old.
That's just part of being a sanctuary city.
Yeah, and the last item that I have, we initiated an online system.
That went right in.
Yeah, I know. This past Friday, we went live around 4:30 in the evening, and at that point, up until we went to Quakertown, we had 91 applicants. We went to Quakertown, we went to on Tuesday, we went to the 9th grade elective fair that they had. And we had 6 programs at the fair. It was a great event. We got to speak to all the 8th graders of Quakertown. And from that night alone, we received 74 new applicants coming into our school.
In addition to the 90?
In addition to the 90. Yes.
So when we went live with this questionable software to take enrollments, we've immediately seen about 150 students turn around, complete this software, kick us back a request for additional information.
Right, and the beauty of this, and what the reason, one of the main reasons we wanted to incorporate this, we never knew what the numbers were coming in until sometime in May, which was really hard to try to separate and divide all of the students and going into the right program. So we have a really good opportunity where we can solidify all of the applicants, by the end, whatever the deadline may be, sometime in March or April, and be able to send notices out to the parents and the students before the end of school saying that your student was selected, or we're proud to say that your student has been enrolled in their first choice, or second choice, or third choice. It's also going to give us a real good idea on the numbers coming in. We have 238, I believe, seniors graduating this year, which is one of the bigger senior classes. So we have a lot of room to grow. And by the looks of this, we're at 167 or 160 so far.
As far as application.
They're not. As far as application. But they all want to come here, they're all new students. They all have their programs picked, 1 through 3. They all want to come. So it's I think it's really going to help us move into that, filling up our programs, and all the students that apply will have an opportunity to try to get into their program.
By the looks of the new requests for classes next year and the way the classes are filled, do we already have overflowed classes with a waiting list? Which classes are they?
Yes, we don't have that because we're intentionally waiting, but we know that animal path, a number of our programs, law enforcement, are already filled. So then we take the number of seniors that are graduating, and those are the projections that we need to fill. Some of those programs have waiting lists from the past that those students would have priority if they would get into those choices.
Understood.
So we're able to be very strategic and proactive in those, and it's sort of one-stop shopping by having it online. And then we'll wait until this mid-semester, but we moved up the timeline about 3 to 4 months. We're able to go and recruit seniors only, so we really want to fill those spots and make sure everyone has access to our wonderful programs.
So will the online system also allow for people that maybe are on a waiting list to see their position on a waiting list?
Well, we don't have that feature public right now, because we want to make sure we get all the applicants, take it right down to the last minute, and then, sit down with the districts, and go through each one of those applicants and make sure that these students are where they're supposed to be. Our goal is to, our students that apply to our programs, we want to make sure that it's something that they want. We want to make sure it's a fit for them. A lot of the students are put in different programs for one reason or another. So we want to make sure that it's a great fit, that they come in, they are successful in our program, they graduate and they're working in their field. And I think this is going to help us tremendously, especially with the numbers. Every school has a certain amount of numbers that are required, or that they have to fill, and one graduating class is going to be bigger than the other, so those numbers are going to fluctuate, of course, every year. But the student, we want them to
Right now, it's just not a deadline. We want to give everyone an opportunity to be aware of it, to apply. And then once there is a deadline, it could be grayed out.
So in some cases though, where somebody doesn't necessarily get their first choice, would they be bumped up the list to get their second choice? So, so they're not pushed down to like their third and fourth choice then?
Yes.
And this software will help with that?
Yes, and it divides it all out. Mike can go on to the software and see how many students are coming in from each one of the districts. And we can see, at one point, we'll be able to see, once we get more numbers, and they start dividing it into categories, we're gonna start adding categories, then we'll be able to see where all the first choices are, how many seats are available, all the second choices, and yeah, if the student doesn't get that first choice, then that student his second choice will be that first choice.
We had 100 students, for example, and we also could do prospects. So what we want to do is we want to target, last year we had 80 to, I think, 100 students that went to our camps from grades 3 through 9th grade. So it's a great way for us to put them in our system, communicate with parents, to let them know all the great things we're doing via website, newsletter, and stay in touch with them. So we're hoping to build this to get to that level. And then also with our existing students, the third phase will be allowing them to help us better track, retainment. So the software does a lot. We're starting with the first piece, but it'll grow and develop.
So is it a first come, first serve? So like if Palisades were to open their, or do you open access to everyone at the same time? And are the districts aware of that? So if it's first come, first serve, the people that want to get in the classes like police tech or animal tech, or they can, law enforcement or animal tech, they need to know they need to register quickly. And do they know when that system goes live, when they can, so they can be first in line?
Well, it's open enrollment.
We
right
purposely
now.
pushed it back to April this year based on recommendations of our superintendents to make sure that everyone is aware of it so they won't lose out. And it'll still give us a head start compared to years past. So
When it's
eventually,
first come, first serve, should maybe people know when
when we say first come,
registration opens?
first serve, it's, we'll do that like at April. Like, so in other words, if I registered now, I don't have advantage over someone that in March.
Okay, all right.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, all right.
And there is a certain distribution of the 3 districts amongst each class, right? So, there's only 2 people from Quakertown and Ag Tech, because all the other spots got filled. That won't happen, because it kind of be a little more proportional, maybe, if possible, a third or something to that degree.
We actually use average daily membership according to the articles of the agreement.
Perfect. That could be perfect math, if possible. Everybody good? All right. Thank you very much for your report, sir. You good?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to move move on to committee reports. I think I'm gonna vaguely report on all the committees on what we discussed today, because we did them as a committee as a whole. Some of the subjects and the committee as a whole report in the different categories, we're gonna have additional breakout conversation on. So we'll just go one by one, and I'll kind of cruise through here real quick. First on the list is Facilities Committee. We discussed two important issues today. PICO, we discussed real quick, just to get that out of the way. We're going to make purchase of some LED light bulbs because we're going to receive a rebate for those light bulbs to essentially be a net zero purchase. I don't think we need to say much more than that. In the future, we don't need to prove that, or just kind of prove the bill. Right. Okay. Secondarily, interstate cleaning crew. Is that you, sir?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. One of the reasons we had you come in today and what we had talked about is that we had just started a new contract. Please, would you mind standing in the,
oh, sure,
somewhere? Could you introduce yourself, where you're from, your first and last name?
my name is David Leeds. I am Director of Educational Services with Interstate Maintenance. So I oversee all of our education accounts with Interstate. So whatever state, wherever it is, anything that's education-wise, it's my department.
So is it a common thing for when employees of your organization to leave to not lock doors?
No, no, it is not.
It's not.
That is not a common thing. That's not what our staff is trained on. Obviously, locking down doors and making sure the school is safe and locked up at the end of the night is one of our major priorities. So the fact that that is happening here, I know, I'm well aware of what's going on, obviously, that's why I'm here.
Pretty serious for a lot of us.
Oh, I know.
And it's very unfortunate we have you here, and we had to ask you to come in here, because there are a lot of sensitive topics, to talk about, that are, the cost of district upwards is $11,500 a month. For this school, to have your organization here, and, we're definitely not getting $11,500 worth of cleaning, and there's been a lot of headache the last 6 months, especially when, and we as a board knew there was gonna be some growing pains, moving into this with a new company, things were gonna get dropped and get picked back up. We're all very sensitive to what's going on with the high turnover, possibly.
Yes.
Whatever's leading to these subpar results in cleaning when some of the staff leaves at the end of the night. We have you here because, we kind of want to have you on notice that we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's. We want to see an improvement.
Yeah.
We don't want to have this meeting again, I think, is the sentiment. So, what are you doing?
So just in the meantime, obviously, we have been having a lot of issues with turnover. We've increased everybody's wages. We place ads letting know, increasing the wages, letting them know that we do have a higher wage rate for this territory. We implemented 2 full-time people here. We were originally having 4 part-timers. We now have 2 full-timers, and they're going to have 2 additional part-timers that are going to be here on staff. We're implementing a lead individual here that is one of the full-time staff. That, I hope, is going to eliminate any of the issues with lights being left on and any of the issues with getting the building secure.
Those 2 full-timers, they will be here during normal business hours?
They're going to be here in the evening, yeah.
In the evening?
Yeah, no one's here during the day.
No one's here during the school day?
Yeah, it's all evening work, yeah. I know we can't be here any earlier. We have them starting at 2:30, obviously working an 8-hour shift. We want to make sure that people aren't in the building later than us, and then we want to make sure that we're able to get the building locked down in the evening. We had to switch managers. Part of our issue was we had a manager here that was incapable of running the school. We made a switch very early on. It is a training process with the manager. We've had a little bit of communication gap with Bill, myself, Jeff, so we now implemented a weekly mandatory meeting where she's going to be on site with Bill. They're going to do a walk through the entire district. Any issues, concerns, hopefully we can get them hashed out immediately versus having discussions like this.
You are an account manager, and so the various educational institutions that your company represents, you are their basically front end, their face that they talk to, right?
Client level, yeah.
Client level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have individual managers that oversee the territory that's who directly works with Bill on a weekly, day-to-day basis.
She will be coming in weekly and instructing the full-time employees and the part-timers.
Yeah, she's
where
already.
shortfalls were maybe the week before, and
Yeah, she's already here, and she also helps in terms of if we do have people out, she also is a backup in terms of covering to make sure that the hours are probably getting covered and there is nothing getting left unclean.
Anybody else on the board want to take this opportunity to make comments?
The only other comment we heard is that there are people that are coming along to be like companions for some of the workers, and that shouldn't be happening here.
No, that shouldn't be happening. I heard one incident with Bill. We had a discussion with the employees. Basically, if that happens again, the employees are going to be terminated. That's obviously we can't bring anybody into the building that one hasn't passed clearances or even is allowed to be here.
One thing I would add is when you have a high turnover of staff coming in, there seems to be some kind of disconnect in communication of what the responsibilities are and how to do them. I think there's definitely a need for those employees to be thoroughly trained on how to do the work as well as what work needs to be done throughout the building. So, I mean, I think having some management level people really walking through step by step, like maybe hand holding a little bit at the beginning of showing exactly how to do everything and what all needs to be done, because when people are leaving without notice and then other people are coming in, it sounds like that communication is not happening.
Yeah, I mean, part of the issue, like I said, with us changing managers was that initial training wasn't happening. So a part of that transition into a new manager was to get some of that more on-site training, and then we basically backed that up with having her being able to hire a part-time assistant. So in the case that, like, look, the manager that is here on site isn't a full-time manager here. She oversees this account, and she also has other accounts in the area. That was, all part of the contract. There is no full-time manager here. But we decided because of the territory and the area and kind of the issues we're having on this site, that we're bringing in a back end, basically an assistant for her in the off chance that she can't be here. We also have another person that can come in to do some of that training, that can back up some of the employees, and also do some of the areas that we're missing or having trouble with.
I just want to say, the owner of your company had came in and met with us when we were taking these bids, and he assured us you guys were well-staffed and qualified enough to take on this job on such short notice.
Mm-hmm.
And that it doesn't seem to be apparent that the cards fell into place that way, and it's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
I thank you for taking your time to come here. I don't know where you took the drive from.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Was it Dave? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Dave, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming. Does anybody else?
I did have one
Yeah.
more question. In hearing how your management structure works, I did hear one issue that came up too about how sometimes there would be staff here and they had noticed that the cleaning staff had left, before 8 or 9 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
They certainly weren't working full 8-hour shifts or anything. Is there anybody, is your part-time manager that comes back or supervisor keeping track of employees' times, or do they?
Yeah,
keep
we
it
have
themselves, or-
a clock-in system. It's a phone system that they clock in and out on, so we're able to track their hours. But again, part of that, the initial setup we had here was all part-timers to basically have more coverage here for when people called out. We basically had an opportunity for additional part-timers to work extra hours to cover those sections.
So that's how those lapses were happening?
Yeah, but that was a fault of our own. Instead of implementing full-timers to have a larger, obviously, area and more hours on site, and then having additional part-timers that could back up and also be here every day. So that was kind of our issue and our original problem with, the coverage here.
Sorry. Your GPS, the phone system for these employees to clock in, is it GPS connected? That is to say, when they clock in or out, does the phone actually register the location?
Yeah, it's a geofence, so they can't be outside of that. They can't use their cell phones.
You put in the address where they're supposed to be, as long as it's within so many feet of that address or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's basically, it's here.
like a paycheck system or something, right? On the phone, their phone.
Yeah.
I know.
So, thank you for coming, because I know you're in a difficult spot and you're kind of taking the heat for, it's not easy to do, so.
It's, I'm glad I can get your questions. It's part of the job, yeah, unfortunately.
Another thing I just wanted to kind of mention to you is, a lot of what we hear is people are coming in and checking the boxes of like, I ran the vacuum in this room, or I dust around the dusting around the room, but not thoroughly actually making sure they're cleaning it in a thorough way, and there's a difference between checking the boxes and doing it well, and I think that's one of the differences, like spraying cleaner, it was like spraying cleaner on the wall, I just saw one of the bathrooms, spraying cleaner on the wall, and then not wiping it down, so there's like, it's like spray running down the wall, and then of course fuzz and whatever, like, and then that'll get dirty, and you know, like cleaning handles and stuff like that, and so it's that kind of thoroughness that I think we'd like to see.
Yeah, I mean, in the initial report that we had, obviously with getting a 30-day notice, a lot of that stuff was already addressed, and a big part of that was me getting involved. I was over here the entire Christmas break trying to get the cafeteria floors done, hallways done, and basically I had an on-site training with the staff that we had here and my manager of what my expectations are and what they need to be doing on a daily basis. And then in terms of the back end of getting people trained that are here, and then anybody else new coming in and making sure they have the same training and they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And that's why I hope, you know, these weekly meetings that we have with Bill and opening up that communication, if there's things we're missing, like I said, it's going to be communicated a lot quicker than these monthly meetings.
Yeah, so just, you know, what I saw in the bathroom thing was tonight.
Okay.
So since
Okay. All right.
Do your people have a layout of the building and these proposed areas that need to be cleaned?
Yeah, we have.
It seems like there have been sections of the building which you've actually missed. So if, and I asked the question, do we have provided you with a diagram which indicates what areas have to be cleaned?
Yeah, the original
And
specs.
the answer was yes.
Yeah, in the original specs, we had the maps of the district, of the school building.
So your people have those maps? And
We
they
have.
check them off?
We have, basically what we're trying to do is with the maps is break down the sections, and I'm gonna be honest, our turnover rate has been atrocious. I mean, that's why I'm here having this conversation.
No, I understand.
So, trying to get a system set up with someone who's honestly working a week or 2 weeks, we're basically putting a Band-Aid on everything, and we haven't gotten to the point where we're able to break down a section, this is the territory, this is the map, this is basically what you're doing, but in a lot of our other buildings, that's how we operate. We basically, on all of our carts, on our custodial closets, we'll have a map highlighted with that territory, and then on the back of it, it'll basically be a schedule of what they're supposed to be doing. So that's kind of the process that we're trying to get to now, with hopefully with the higher wages and getting better staff in here and a better manager.
Now, quick question for you. I know you can't answer it, but I'm going to throw it out anyway. Just because I have to. In your estimation, over the time that you've been here, would you say your performance is 50%, 75%, 30% in completion of what your responsibilities were for the building?
Honestly, in terms of our responsibilities, because I'm not someone that lies, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, 50%. I mean, the fact that we haven't had the proper staff. The turnover, I mean, it's just.
And I hate to say I'm going to lead you into this, but
Yeah.
I mean, is there a way in which, because I'm a performance-based type of guy, you didn't perform, does the school get a rebate for non-performance? You know, it's
I
not
don't
the
think that's a
contract.
question for this gentleman.
Okay, but I just threw it out anyway.
I was gonna say something, there's nothing in the contract that, there's nothing in the contract that shows it as being performance-based. I have dealt with that in past in school districts that I've run before. And I know that's not a part of this contract, so.
But there is a requirement that you perform certain duties.
Oh,
which
100%.
are certainly unquestionably.
Yeah,
So is there,
100%.
could there be consideration for that?
I mean, again, like, that, it's something that is more towards our, you know, the higher up, my CEO. Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that when we first started this process and hired your company, references were contacted and they were all blown. So I believe what you're saying about, you know, all these other places where you're established, they're doing a great job, and you know, so it's just we were hoping that would be happening here.
I mean, it's just,
You guys
it's,
catch trend here.
So-
This needs to start. and-
It's our fault. I mean, we, not knowing the territory, not knowing where we are here, you know, that was our lapse. You know, we're drawing, I'm looking, not getting someone in this area to come and spend.
Respectfully,
Yeah.
the fact that you can't fire your employees, we don't care.
Yeah, no, I know.
And we need you guys to catch trend. It needs to get better in the immediate future.
No, that's why we're working on it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yep, no
Anybody
problem.
else? I'd like to move
Do
on.
you foresee being a full-time
cohesive team?
Yeah, as of tonight, we have someone that is newly starting, just passed clearances, we just got the okay. And we have another individual that's going through TV testing, and we're hoping that at the earliest that she's gonna start Monday, and that'll give us a full crew. But right now, we're still using an assistant and a manager to cover those hours that aren't being done. But as of Monday, I'm hoping that we'll be fully staffed. It all depends on the TV test and the results from that.
And that will be a solid team moving forward?
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, clearances. Clearances.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't have to stay either.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody have a
No
good
problem.
night.
Have a safe drive to New Jersey.
Thank you.
All right, and that concludes our report, what we discussed at the facility committee. Moving on to the finance committee issues. We briefly discussed the close of the PLGIT/ARM account, which is basically a savings account we have open that was opened with a purpose. Specifically, it's just sitting there, probably going to start collecting fees soon, so we're going to take our $30 and close out the account, and that has, do we need to approve that?
I think it's on the agenda.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and we will approve that later. Review financial reports, which we will do in section 12 as well. Moving on, food service review, March. Okay, moving on. And then the policy. We had deferred this portion of the policy discussion till this part of the meeting. We want to review policies 000, 001, 002, 003, 005, and 011 for was it a first reading, or is it just a conversational review?
Conversation.
Would you like us to do that? I mean, we should have read it online, actually, and prefacing for prior coming to you.
So we can send it back to you and we can discuss again?
Yes, well, and actually what we discussed earlier is because we were running short on time, we didn't cover it, so we're going to bump it till the next meeting. Adult programs conversation. We also bumped that till the next meeting. We're going to continue to do that. All right, and then we discussed also, that was 3 of our committees, and there is a 4th committee, the policy committee. Program committee, no. For the policy committee. Right, but in the future, we're going to meet from the policy committee as a whole. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
No, that's okay. No. And in the future meetings, we're going to meet as a policy committee as a whole prior to our original board meetings. So we're going to continue to have 3 committees made up as they are now. The policy committee will be broken up, and it will have a separate subcommittee meeting that will occur prior to our JOC meeting in the future. Cover it, we think?
Yeah, do you want to mention that at least for next month, the proposed start time of the JOC meeting at 8 o'clock?
Oh,
That will be out.
thank you. Yes, we will be advertising. Next month's JOC meeting will actually begin at 8 p.m. We are, as you can see, if you show up here often, we generally run a few minutes late. It's not just because I'm here, but there's a lot of work that we have to get in a very brief window, and we're thinking that people will not be waiting as long if we delay the meeting till 8 o'clock rather than 7. It gives us more time to work on our subcommittee work at a schedule that's convenient for most of the JOC members. They're going to be advertised, so we're going to look at she's going to look at the agendas and she'll post them that way. So, moving on to consent calendar. Motion to approve the reorganization meeting minutes that were posted. Motion to approve discussion on any of these consent calendar subjects. The December reorganization meeting minutes, December regular board meeting minutes, the December financial reports, the January bills payable, or the personnel recommendations that were posted. Motion to approve, discussion, please.
Motion.
Second. David is second. Robert? All right, discussion. Any?
I actually just had one question, and it's not necessarily about the limits, but it sort of is about the limits. When we elect a treasurer and we're doing the, like, I guess bonding that person over a period of time, I guess, are we legally required to end it in July? Is that why we do that? It goes by, so when we do that for half of a year, and then we have the other one finish out that year, you know, we do it for a year, and then we reorganize in December halfway through, and then we're having that person basically fill in for the other person for the second half of the year and go for, so.
Your treasurer's stuff goes from December to December.
No, because it says in here, it actually goes from July, which I didn't, so basically, he was appointed for the July to July, and then I'm appointed in December to serve through the rest of this July and then on through, and then next year, like, it'll just.
Someone's gonna replace your July.
So my question is, since we're paying that fee, does that roll over to the next, like, it's not costing
It
us
won't.
more money by doing it that way, right? It just rolls over to the next person?
But it won't happen automatically, so I'm glad you raised the issue, because if we haven't done what we need to do with that bonding group to make sure that it has rolled over, that needs to get done.
Give a credit for all.
They won't.
So you just switch who's on it, but it's not like you have to get a new, it's not, it doesn't change the cost. It's not costing us more by switching halfway through the term.
It should not, because it happens with some regularity that someone, for one reason or another, resigns, that there's a vacancy before the end of that full year of bonding anyway. So they have a means to handle it. And that's what happens essentially before the means.
It's interesting,
but we
so
should
we're
make
just
sure.
required to do it in that off way, and since we, but we're required to reorganize.
Articles of agreement have it in there, and that might be something that should get amended at some
Yeah,
point.
can we move that, or is it, like, what is?
Yeah, but
I thought it was a state requirement.
there's a conflict between the state requirement and the articles of agreement, that's the issue.
So, because we're required to reorganize in December,
Exactly.
but then we're,
But you could postpone, the articles of agreement could specify that the treasurer does not get, the appointment of the treasurer is not in that. But that wouldn't have helped this year, right? Because weren't you the treasurer? So you would have had a vacancy anyway.
So the state requires it to be in July, though, that's
Yes.
not, that's not,
You're right.
we're not the ones that
Yes.
require it. And since we're doing the reorganization in December, that's the conflict.
In this
So we
case,
would have to change our reorganization of that specific position, but we couldn't change the
This year,
reorganization of the other positions, right?
Well, correct.
So we're,
right, and so if it's gonna
It's
always be a
treasurer,
vacancy, exactly.
and then in
It's just an extra.
June, you're reappointed. Okay.
Right, you have this weird
It's just
situation
in a
where you're.
messier way to transition, but, you know,
Yeah.
I get that,
You do it in
we have to do it. We don't, our treasurer is our business administrator,
Right.
not a board member, so we don't have that issue.
Any other conversation? All in favor of the consent calendar as presented? All say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. HOSA State Conference. Motion to approve the HOSA State Conference subject as presented.
Second?
And motion to approve student participation
You
in.
should call the vote, or actually, you should invite any discussion. and then-
Oh, yeah, open for discussion before I read it off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was reading it off. Motion to, and I'll allow for open conversation, I do the same thing after I read the description. Motion to approve student participation in the HOSA State Conference at Valley Forge Convention Center, the Radisson Hotel in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, on April 1st through the 3rd, 2020, as follows. It is recommended. HOSA Dental Careers paid by HOSA Student Activity account for max lodging and meals, $221 per person, $884 paid by UBCTS, thank you, I lost my spot in the line, in the paragraph here. Four max students at $100 a student, one teacher at $400 registration, a hotel room, $543, 3 substitute days, $110 per day, $330 nurse registration, $100 nurse lodging and meals, $434 nurse salary, $720 transportation, school van, and fuel costs of $100. Total cost to Upper Bucks County Technical School in total of $2,627. The maximum cost of $2,672. Total trip cost been $3,511. Any conversation on this event and approving it for the students and staff?
You're only taking 4 students?
I'm not hosting.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's Mrs. Diaz.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to number 9, New York International Beauty Show. That's you, I presume. I'm going to read off the description and then I'll allow for public comment, and if you want to say anything. Looking for a motion to approve the topic of the New York International Beauty Show as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Motion to approve 45 cosmetology students, 3 chaperones to attend the New York International Beauty Show at the Jacob Javits Convention Center, New York on March 10th, 2020. Transportation is about $990. Student reservation and postage for email $45 or to $48, $2,160. Chaperone registration, no cost. Cost to be paid by the student activities fees, $2,550. General fund to pay $757.50. Total cost of the trip being $3,907. Anything you'd like to say? Or would you tell us what this is?
Yes, of course. The New York Hair Show is global, it's international. There are many classes that the students sit in on. We require them to sit in 3 different classes that they take notes on and come back and write reports on each of those classes to put into their portfolio. We take pictures of them throughout the event, whatever they're sitting in on, they're taking active part in, they're asking questions, there are different vendors. So there's vendors there are professionals that are doing platform work, and our students have a really good experience out of this. So again, they get to add that to their portfolio. Do you guys have any questions?
Are they all seniors?
No, we do not take level 1s unless they're an upperclassman. Because they're 9th grade, 10th grade, they're just not skilled enough where they're at this point when we go in March to understand a lot of it. So we do take the upperclassmen for this, but it is more than just the seniors.
Only one day, it goes from the 8th to 10th.
Sunday and Monday are the 8th and 9th. They are for professionals only. So Mrs. Kutchis and I do go up on Sunday for the day. So we get our own education. And then Tuesday is student day. They have to be signed up under COS teachers to be able to go. So that's why it is only one day for the students.
So I couldn't go then.
Are you a licensed professional?
I can go to your
When you come and get your COS license as an adult student during the secondary ed. I'm sorry. I just had to say that. I know, right? I have to do a plug. What was your question?
So that's a no.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry.
Do you really want to be on the bus with 45
No,
cars?
Is our whole program female?
Pardon?
Is our whole program female for cosmetology?
This year it is. We've had a male for the 4 years prior. There's been a couple of years we've had multiple males, usually 2 to 4 at the most. This year we do only have females. So that's why it was said that way. Guys, girls.
That's what prompted me to ask, actually. I was curious.
Pardon?
I was curious. That's what made me ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have some males in there, but just haven't had them come in last year or this year. So no, last year we had 1.
Yeah.
Last year he graduated, yes.
Any of my fellow board members have any questions prior to us voting? All right, thank you. All in favor of approving funding to the New York International Beauty Show for our cosmetology students, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Have fun.
Thank you.
You guys going up, come back the same day? Is that-
Yes.
Yeah, I should ask before. But
Yeah, it's about 6 a.m. we leave and get back about 6:30, depending on traffic.
New York City trip for Skills USA. Motion to approve the topic number 10 on the New York trip for Skills City USA, so I can read off the topic.
Make a motion.
And a second. Motion to approve 7 Upper Bucks County Technical students and one advisor to attend the Broadway play Mean Girls in New York City on Saturday, April 25th, 2020. Tickets and transportation to be paid by Skills USA at a cost of $138 per student and advisor. There's no cost to Upper Bucks County Technical School. Does anybody have any discussion on this topic?
Good luck. No, every year. This is a different show. Last year,
How does this fit in skill?
it's run by Skills USA organization. So every school has a allotted number. We have 7. That's, they jump that out.
So is it from but it's not from a specific program?
It's open to any skill.
How did the kids put their names in?
Yeah, this is good, okay.
Hi. So how it fits into Skills USA, it's leadership, it's social etiquette, it's communication, navigation through crowd, it's all of those kind of soft skill kinds of things.
And how did you pick the students to go? First come, first serve, name
Yeah.
in the hat? Yeah.
First come, first serve, who can get the paper signed and the money in. But I'm not one of the current Skills USA advisors, but I'm sure there's probably some criteria about grades and attendance and that kind of thing. It's not just anybody per se, but essentially it is first come, first serve who meets the qualifications.
Or is every class part of Skills USA too?
Yeah.
Okay. There isn't one excluded or?
No, we have approximately 80 contestants going to the Skills USA district competition in the time of 29. And every one of our programs are supported in one way or another. Some 2 or 3 competitors, some 1. So yeah, every one of them.
Construction grades at 8 or 10, and 13.
Construction, yeah, they'll send the team.
Hey, did you have something you want to say?
No, I whispered that it's snowing.
Oh. Well, we're gonna try and get out of here as soon as possible. That's what I'm working on.
Sorry.
All right, all in favor of approving the funding? For the Skills USA trip, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to subject number 11, equipment grants. Motion to approve the agenda as presented for number 11, please, so I can continue. And a second?
Second.
Equipment grants, motion to accept PGE competitive equipment grants for $18,892 as written to assist with equipment upgrades and to approve the operation of PDE's 2019-2020 competitive equipment grant for the amount of $18,892. No discussion necessary, really, right? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 12, PGIT ARM account. All right, motion to the previously discussed account for our subcommittee meeting that has $30 in it, so we want to close it out. Motion to approve.
Motion.
A second.
All right, and then now we're going to vote on actually closing PLGIT/ARM account number 38502. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously to close the account. Motion to approve subject matter number 13, out-of-state travel, please, as presented. All right, motion, we'll give Jim a second. And Dwight gets. Motion to approve William Young to attend the 24th annual education conference sponsored by the Equipment and Engine Training Council at Lodge Kohler in Green Bay, Wisconsin from April 1st through the 4th of 2020. Cost of the trip as follows: flight $500, transportation $100, meal reimbursement $194, lodging $327, registration $125, excuse me. Substitute for 3 days $330, total not to exceed $1,576. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Number 13 passes unanimously. Motion to approve agenda item number 14, Educational Consortium Telecommunications Agreement as presented. Motion for discussion. And a second?
A second.
Motion to approve an agreement with the Educational Consortium for the telecommunications savings for the E-rate funding program filings in relation to the wireless network replacement project for the Upper Bucks County Technical School. Does anybody want to have any discussion on this? Please say. All right, motion to approve.
Aye.
All opposed? You're an aye. Right? Motion passes unanimously. This is just an informational item, spring break, oh, no. Motion to approve item number 15, the spring breakfast as presented. Do I again? Can I get a second?
Second.
Dave again. Motion to approve the Upper Bucks County Technical School to hold the spring breakfast Saturday, March 14th, 2020 at no cost to the Upper Bucks County Technical School. This is for our regular spring breakfast that we have every year, I presume, with the bunny and stuff.
Yep, yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 16? All right. This is where we added in a new agenda item for this evening, to approve the execution of the contract with Godshaw, Kane, O'Rourke Architects, subject to solicitor's review and approval. I would take some open comment at this time if anybody has any questions on this. Actually, motion to approve this topic on discussion, please.
Second.
All right, now I will allow for open comment on this particular agenda item if anybody would like to make any.
It's time to get rolling on it.
All right.
We want to get it done this summer.
Well, we approved it last year, so. The board members, I'm going to take this to a vote if there's an objection. All in favor of approving the execution of the contract with Godshaw, Kane, O'Rourke Architects, subject to the solicitor's review and approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Announcements. The next regular JLC board meeting is scheduled for February 20th at 7 o'clock, but we are going to reschedule that. It is rescheduled for 8 o'clock this upcoming month. And I also want to point out is that thing you said you were going to go to? Hold on, before I do. The skills thing on the 29th, fellow board members, I'm not going to be able to make it, but on the 29th of February, there's a Skills USA breakfast and awards banquet and competition, right? You're all welcome to go. Please be in touch with Tracy if you would like to go to a luncheon and see the competition in Seward in Allentown.
Yeah, it's at the Ag Market.
At the Ag Park, yes. What were you going to say? You were pointing to something. I am not going to allow for any more public comment this evening.
Okay.
But if you want to say something, what is?
The public comment on non-agenda items is separate from the other, so we haven't done that.
Oh, did I miss it?
Yeah.
Oh, I will allow for it when I'm done. I apologize. Is that what you were trying to tell me too? I didn't forget about it. All right. Those are the only announcements that I could think of. Does anybody else like to make any other announcements before I allow for open mic for non-agenda items? Yes.
Can I just say something that, this month is Board Appreciation Month, and, we want to just thank you, the faculty, staff, administration, for all of your dedication and work to make us the Upper Bucks County Technical School. Our goal is to, we're small, but we're mighty, and my goal is to make sure that all of our programs are at the highest level possible. And I'm tired of hearing LCTI. I want their awards because people are going to be talking about will be Upper Bucks County Technical School. So we're going to be working hard. Our instructors are working extremely hard, working on, their implementation of some learning guides and lesson plans. And, that's all a testament to the staff. And my goal, and I've always said I'm very competitive, and I think that we have a good thing going. And with your help, we're going to take it to that next level. So again, thank you again for serving on our board, and we have some treats for you guys to take home with you.
Thank you.
And any desserts that are left over.
I had a few things I wanted to say, and I almost forgot about it. So I'm glad I asked for open comment on non-agenda items so that I can remember that there's things I want to talk about. I wanted to, I was one of the board members that had came in over this week to take a walk. The other one was Mr. Spear, Chris. And as we were going through the classes, I want to send my compliments to so many of the teachers. What I saw was so encouraging. I think that the classes were filled with a lot of class. I think you guys do a fantastic job. I was very grateful to see, my favorite part I have to take away was seeing the syllabus on the wall with the different check marks and the different things that you got, the progress reports that are actually posted on the wall now. That for me, I think is a really awesome takeaway from this that really I hadn't seen in previous cycles. And so I want to thank the teachers for their commitment to help us get lesson plans up to date and, start providing the students with a little bit more guidance as far as where they are in the class structure. And so I just wanted to send my compliments to that and thank you guys for encouraging them to do that. And your fellow teachers, would you please share the sentiment with them, please? It's heartfelt, and I mean it. I just wanted to compliment Mr. Miller's carpentry class too for all the work that they did on the red barn out there. It looks really fantastic. And I wanted to congratulate the 80 or 90 kids that are going to be going to the Skills USA competition in Allentown that 29th. I'm sorry that I can't make it, but I hope some of our other board members will apparently be making it. So I think that's fantastic. Okay. Open comment for any non-agenda items to the audience. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
David, primary. Yeah, you missed that one. Yay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Bad.
Have a really great month, everybody.